by keeping them heavily drugged. A number of forces conspired to break the group out again, from their own efforts to Talon and the now resurrected Valencia. Eventually they escaped and were reunited with not only Valencia, but her husband, and Teraith's father, Terendel, Kihrin's father, Therin, and his mother, Kariel. But the family reunion only grew more awkward when Kihrin revealed that he didn't think Kalanis was wrong to refuse the ritual. It was the wrong solution to the problem. Kihrin's relationship with Janelle evolved. And he also, finally, admitted his feelings toward Teraith. But that admission was interrupted by Rolamar the dragon, who had tracked Kihrin down. In the fight, Kihrin's father, Therin, was slain, and Kihrin, channeling Karoth's powers, destroyed Rolamar. Afterward, Kariel made a deal with her grandmother, the goddess Thane. If Thane would agree to return Therin, Kariel would agree to perform the ritual of night. The group split up at this point. Kihrin and Thurvashar left for Kishneferiga to try to track down the wizard Grist, who theoretically knew the most about imprisoning Karoth. Janelle and Teraith returned with the Vane to the Manhole capital, intent on taking back the Vane throne. Thurvashar and Kihrin began their search, but ran into Senere, Javan, and Talia, who were tracking down the witch queen Sulis. Kihrin learned that it hadn't been Raylos Var who'd sent a daughter of Leica to destroy his ship so many years earlier, but Thane herself, framing Raylos Var in order to gain Kihrin's trust. After they continued to run into each other, Thurvashar and Kihrin joined forces with Senere, Javan, and Talia, who agreed to help with Kihrin's quest if the two men would help with theirs. They were able to track Sulis to the lair of the dragon Bailash, but not in time to save Javan's husband or son, whom Sulis murdered. Sulis herself was killed during a fight between the dragons Sharanakal and Bailash, but it was a ruse. Sulis had possessed the one person out there readied for such a transfer, Janelle. Meanwhile, back at the capital, Teraith, Janelle, Kariel, Terendel, and Valencia went into hiding while waiting for Parliament to hear their case. They were taken by surprise when Senere, Javan, and Talia ambushed them to rescue Janelle, but Sulis escaped in the confusion before they could explain their good intentions, taking Janelle's body with her. Sulis promptly took shelter with King Kalanis. Kihrin and Thurvashar tracked down Grist to a brothel, discovering that Grist was the leader of the Griffin men that Thurvashar's father, Emperor Sandus, and Kihrin's adoptive father, Serdia, had both belonged to, and was ultimately responsible for Kihrin growing up at the Shattered Veil Club. They also learned that Grist had been helping Raylos Var this entire time. But after Grist realized how closely linked Karoth and Kihrin seemed to be, he switched sides. Kihrin and Thurvashar determined that Raylos Var had trapped the last warding crystal. If anyone finished the ritual of night, it would free Karoth rather than imprisoning him. Kihrin secretly messaged Terendel, warning him to do whatever it took to delay or sabotage the ritual of night. When the time came for the trial, Janelle escaped Sulis's control, but at a high price. Janelle was forced to take the final steps toward becoming a demon, and Sulis learned the trick from her. Valencia and Terendel double-crossed Kariel, taking the crown for themselves. But Teraith suspected this was something more than ambition when Terendel gave his cornerstone, Chainbreaker, to his wife before she fled. Terendel then called on Thane and agreed to honor the bargain made with Kariel, with Terendel performing the ritual himself. Therin was returned, and Terendel performed the ritual, but it failed. Confronted by Thane, Terendel finally admitted the truth. The ritual couldn't succeed because the Vane weren't an immortal race. They were just an offshoot branch of the Voras, who became mortal the first time Karoth was imprisoned. They'd been using their magic to artificially prolong their lives using the Well of Spirals, but they weren't truly immortal. So there was nothing to sacrifice.